Hello everyone, I'm Jay. I'm a competitive Splatoon player from New Zealand, and I wanted to talk about the current state of competitive Splatoon in Oceania and why I think it is bad. Um, just to give a little context, this video is just my opinion, so if there are things you don't agree with in this video, then that's totally fine. Um, and this will be focused on OCE specifically, but some of these points could relate to uh, other regions like Europe and North America. So, yeah, this is also my first time doing this kind of rant on a topic, so please bear with me if I make pauses or stutter. Yeah, but currently there are 0 teams in this region right now. Like, the amount of teams that are that are in this region, I could count with my hand. And I know Oceania is very small as is, but this is like another level of small. There are no high level teams, and there's only like one mid level team, and the rest are low level. Um, and good for them. I'm glad that they're doing it. But we need to get everyone else to play, and yeah, we're just limiting ourselves for no reason whatsoever because we're lazy and can't build teams. But what is everyone else doing? Everyone else, they're playing pickups, scrims, and tournaments, which is fine. These scrims are usually happening in Krakens or Orcas. Krakens being a scrim server for everyone to join, and Orcas being a top level OCE scrim server that is invitational. But still, like, these servers are used a lot. Like, there's a scrim almost every single night, which is great. And we've had a bunch of new players come in. I would have to guess it's because the game's been out for a couple years, and you've played so much where you can't do anything more casually aside from grind X rank. So it's good to see that more people are joining, which is and lots of new faces, which is great. But it also means that these players have 0 experience in like being on a team, which is not a good thing whatsoever. But pickups aren't always bad. Like, pickup culture has a lot of pluses. Those pluses being that you get to play with a bunch of different groups of players and get to meet and potentially make friends. Which then you could use to build teams. Wink, wink. But then it also helps your mechanical skill and core gameplay knowledge, like matchups and stuff like that, as well as like when there's like a top level player and like a lower level scrim. You can learn and see the patterns that they show, because playing against a solo player and a top level player is very different. But pickup culture is bad for a lot of things, which is mainly just you miss out on all the stuff that teams do. Like, VOD reviewing is just gone. Like, there is no VOD review whatsoever. It's just you ping for a scrim, you play, and then you leave, go to bed, or whatever you do for the rest of the night. Like, that is the extent of what a pickup scrim is, and it's very sad. You cannot learn or bounce ideas off each other, which is like the biggest part of learning is talking to other players and learning the knowledge they know and sharing the knowledge you know and like having discussions. Which and X rank, pickups are just X rank with comms. There is nothing more to them. Like, what is the point in a pickup scrim every night when you could just play X rank by yourself? Like, scrims are supposed to work on different skills that X rank doesn't. Like, you can test a few comps out, and you can practice your your communication skills. Like, you miss out on communication strategy and synergy, which is just like not good. It really just limits your growth as a player and as a community, because this is community wide. It isn't just a couple players thing. This is everyone, aside from the few that have made teams. But even then, those teams can't get practice because there are no teams to scrim. Like, not only are these people limiting themselves, but they're limiting the greater community because they don't have other people to scrim, which is very sad. But this wasn't always like this. Like, we had AUNZ just a few months ago, and there was, there was a bunch of teams. Like, it was too many teams. No, I'm kidding. But people would be pinging almost every night, and people would be VOD reviewing and talking amongst each other. There was about 6 high-level teams, which is a lot in Oceania, that were all very close in skill. Like, between like 5 or 6 of them, you had no idea who would come out on top, which is amazing. Like, having a bunch of teams that are like similar in skill just means that you have more to practice. Compared to back when Greasy Goblins were the supreme leaders and no one could really challenge them. I think this was a much healthier meta and community to learn in. But then also there was an abundance of mid and low level teams. Like, not only could the high levels practice, but then the low levels also had heaps of people to practice with. And like, but now pinging for scrims, like, as if you're a team pinging for a scrim, all you have is either a team that like doesn't really know what they're doing, or you have just players that'll just pick up and will run weird comps because one of them is missing, one of them is not a pen player or whatever. Just wacky comps that you're never gonna see in a tournament setting because people aren't actually playing these weapons and they're just fucking around. But yeah, what makes teams really good? I think the biggest thing is just building off of friendships. Like, friendships are really tested being on a team. Not only like do you discuss, like, I feel like the biggest thing for a team environment is being able to get along with each other. So you can use these connections that you've been building through pickups, build teams with people that you enjoy playing with. But also VOD reviewing. VOD reviewing is such an important aspect of comp alone. Like, going over your gameplay as a team and discussing with each other what strategies work and what doesn't and what we can implement in the future is probably the best thing you could do as a player. Like, and it also means that you can get people like coaches or other top level players just to watch over your gameplay as this team. Like, I remember doing one for Raz Bros just a couple weeks ago, and it was like a breath of fresh air. I was so used to, it was so nice to be able to talk to people as a collective over just an individual. But yeah, there's only so far you can get as an individual player, like, and people haven't grown that much. Like, don't get me wrong, the pickup culture has helped a lot with building connections, and like between high and low level. Like, there was a massive issue with low level and high level being in a major gap. Like, and there still is. There's still a massive gap between Division 1 players in Orcas and then the rest of the region, which is understandable for a small community. But I do think that it has grown in the fact that, like, people are interacting with each other, which wasn't the case before, I know, right? But like, you can reach out to players for advice and not be scared that these guys are going to judge you. um, which I'm glad that we have resolved. And people, like, lower level players have improved, but high level players, I feel like we've gotten worse, I'm not gonna lie. Like, maybe if you were picking up a new weapon, like I've been playing dualies, that has been, like, you've been able to improve, but you haven't been able to improve, like, I've been able to improve on dually, but I haven't improved to where I'm better on, I'm a better shot player than I was before, like, or just a better player in general. Like, I could play shot the same way I could play it 3-4 months ago, compared to getting better with it. Like, I've just used, just caught up with dually over actually improving, which is pretty sad. And I'm sure a lot of other players are like that also. What else? Having teams, the biggest thing that no one talks about, that I think personally, is having goals. Like, having a team to beat that is above you, or like having a rival team is the biggest drive as a player for me. I feel like having like a drive to beat a team, like back when I was lower level, when I was on Instant Ink and Stormlight Teacup, early Stormlight Teacup, we had Zaza trying to beat, which were miles above us. We went into a scrim constantly just getting our asses kicked, but we kept in those scrims and kept pursuing, like, I don't know if pursuing is the right word, but yeah, you know what I mean. Anyways, we kept going at it slowly over time, getting better and better, and like one scrim would maybe take 1 or 2 games out of like 10, and then would get the next scrim would like VOD review with Zaza. Zaza would give us help, which was awesome, and then we would the next scrim maybe we would take 4 games, and we would just refine our strategy and get better as a collective over getting better as an individual, which there is a big lack of now. Which is why I think teams should and need to come back. But the main reason why teams haven't been made is why? What is the point? Like, aside from the things I just talked about, like, what do you get? What is the reason to, like, there's no tournaments to participate in, like, to get that as much value as a team. Because organizing stuff with a group of 4 players over just pinging for yourself and another random board join you is not easy. So the major issue which a lot of high level, or just a big group of the community have been putting into is different tournaments, and I'm sure everyone knows about the Frostbite major coming up, which is, if you haven't heard, it's Australian major, every like the Sinduku major, at the end of every season. And you have, I'm hoping that'll be like the trigger for people to start making teams, that has a prize pot, so people will want to win it, and it also means you can prove yourself. I feel like there is no reason to not make a team. And Cookie's done a great job, Cooking Coco. I just hope that it will have the effect that we were going for with the major. But yeah, the biggest thing I want out of the Frostbite major is seeing what strategies and what players are showcased. Like, this meta is so interesting right now. Like, there are so many viable. I'm sure you've been watching Chara, and if you haven't, then you should. But he's been talking about how viable so many weapons are in this meta, and so many things could work. And in OCE, there is, if you pick any weapon that is like A tier and above, you can win with it. You can be the best player in the region with it, because this region is so far behind compared to the others. You can, like, I don't think people understand how easy it is to be a good player in OCE. If you've got good mechanical skill, you will rise to the top. And if you have a good understanding on how you can play, like, There's so much potential right now in this community, and we just need the teams and the motivation um, to showcase that. Um, but yeah, I think that's all I have to talk about. If there are things that I missed or there's things that you disagree with, don't be afraid to comment or DM me. I don't know. It's fine. But yeah, if you like this style of content, I have a few more topics I wouldn't mind discussing. Let me know. Have a good rest of your day, night, whatever. See ya.